The next time I saw her, she told me that she had quit her job, started her own and started
Oh,
a book.
hopefully that wasn't primarily your influence there, but
She told me it was because of the book.
oh no. Welcome to College Chats, everybody. Today I have Jasmin Villa here, who works at Coinbase currently in HR people operations, right? We're happy to have you on, Jasmine. And then just for kind of the viewer on the other end, can you give us a little background of who you are, where you studied? They're probably going to know where you studied because I'm going to put it in the description, but just a little background of yourself.
Hi, I'm Jasmin Villa. I am 23, turning 24. I graduated same school as Vic Cruz, San Diego State University. I was born and raised in the Philippines, moved to the UK when I was 5. That's where I learned English. And then I moved to the States when I was 8. Fast forward, now I'm in San Diego and I work in people operations at Coinbase, which is one of the most trusted platforms where you can buy, sell, and store crypto.
Must be a fun firm to work at because of the whole hype on crypto, though I think it died down a little bit, right?
Yeah, I joined when it was at like the peak. Like we started seeing ads on the Super Bowl, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like people are like starting to believe in this stuff. Like I was very pessimistic about it. Like I believed in crypto and the technology, but I just knew it would take a while to adopt. So I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. I was really what compelled me to Coinbase was I saw their ad on the Super Bowl, and I was like, if those are the type of
Nice.
people working there, I want to be around people who are that creative and innovative. So yeah, took a shot, applied. I didn't even get the job the first time. I got rejected. Stayed in touch with the recruiter, as in I was very nice throughout the process. When they told me I didn't get the job, I said, you know what? If an opening comes up, I'd be more than happy to take it. And that's what happened. A couple months later, they called me back. Hey, we're expanding the team. Like you were second to best in the application process. We'd love to have you back. And me and my ego was like, okay, I'll accept it, but I'll prove to you why you messed up and didn't pick me as your first choice. There, I just worked really hard with that chip on my shoulder.
But there you go. That's the villain backstory. I'm gonna try one little thing quickly. No, and I accidentally switched it on to AirPods, and AirPods is terrible quality. Yeah. So, anyways, you were talking about how you like the company in general, and you have mixed feelings about specifically the crypto space as of right now. Is there anything that you currently read or listen to, any sort of information or resource that keeps you up to date with all these things that's happening in the tech world as well as crypto, blockchain?
YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I love the freelance content creators. I watch a lot of Brian Armstrong's interviews because I want to know like his thought process, what type of leader he is. Yeah, YouTube is really good. Just sometimes I'm at work, put a YouTube podcast, work related, okay? Put it on there and then just continue work and learn what's going on in the industry.
Nice. And then just to rewind time here, when you initially started college, what was the thinking behind going into your major, which was, I believe, international business, and more specifically, you have a focus on Spanish Latin, Latin America. And then what was the thinking behind going to college and choosing that major?
Yeah, I'm going to be very blunt. Not going to college was never a thought in my head. I have differing opinions now, but not going to college was like blasphemy because my parents worked so hard to get me to the States. Like, I wasn't leaving here without that paper. So it was more of like a familial obligation. And I chose international business because I went to an art school, so I didn't like academics. I got straight A's because of my dad, but I didn't like academics. I played jazz trombone, and when it was time to pick your major, everybody's going to these cool schools. Like, I just knew pursuing music was very difficult to make a living out of. Like I
Mhm.
worked with very talented musicians, the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz, and even those people were directly telling me like it's very hard to make money out of this career. So I knew music was not for me. So I said, okay, what do I not like? I don't like nursing. I don't like psychology. I don't really like math. The one thing that I liked was my Spanish class because I got to take what I learned, go to the bus stop, talk to a random stranger, and the second I switched to Spanish, the combo would immediately change to a happier and more relaxed tone. And I just like seeing that change in people and be able to communicate better. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do with Spanish? Found out there was a major, international business. And I said, okay, I think that's general enough to twist it to whatever career I decide after college. And so I
Mhm.
chose IB. I just needed to get through college, get that paper, and whatever I decided was going to be not tied to my degree.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I actually relate a lot to your sort of familial obligation to go to college as well. Originally from Uzbekistan as well, which is in Central Asia. I came here when I was like, parents did whatever it took to get here. And I was like, okay, there's absolutely no way that I'm not going to go to college and then try to get a decent job. And so, super relatable on that end. But as far as going from IB into what you do now, what are the steps you took throughout college, right? Because you did a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I did. Excuse my dog, he's barking. But I did IB. I was like, oh, this is cool. Met some people who were in the IB space. Like, there was a job, it's called a Chief Protocol Officer. Super cool.
Mhm,
You basically guide any foreign ambassadors into the US and you guide them throughout the country. Like, you guide them with our cultural norms as well as our US representatives and teaching them the country's cultural norms. And I thought that was really cool. But
mhm.
then I thought, oh man, like working for the government, like that you're going to be working for the government for a long time if you choose that route. So, yeah, I ended up joining a business fraternity, which I recommend. If you're going to go to school, join something, whatever it is. I joined that one club, and from that one fraternity, it segued me to the Lavin entrepreneurship program because I had
Mhm.
some fraternity alumni recommend it. And from there, that's where I really took off and found like what I was really good at. So I guess in short, from IB to HR, what happened was I just met a lot of people. I asked a lot of questions. Instead of asking what job do I want, I asked myself like what type of person do I want to be? And I saw a lot of my business fraternity alumni. I saw them as role models. Like I really like that they can speak so well. I really like how confident they are. I like how they can negotiate. Right. I like how organized they are. What type of career are they in? And yeah, and I found myself in HR because I found that I was very good at, I had a high EQ. I found that I was very good at organizing. I was very good at delegating, being compliant. I was very rule based. And those were my strengths in the Lavin program. And that's what got me into HR.
Yeah, I did notice you're very good at speaking. I personally have a lot of like filler words, and sometimes my thoughts don't go together fast enough for me to like say them. So it seems like you've got that like under lock. I did
Yeah.
have a question about your diving in deeper into like Lavin and your entrepreneurship kind of journey. It was like a little mini journey in between like your college experience. So what was that like overall?
I joined the program because I was just craving, like in my art school, way back before college, I
Yeah.
was surrounded by individuals who took music so seriously that they would practice day and night. And I just loved being around people who took things seriously. So I joined the business fraternity. And at some point, I outgrew that fraternity and I wanted more.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right, let me do this entrepreneurship thing. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I just want to be around people I can learn from and be inspired from. Joined the program And it was 7 a.m. classes every day, 2 hours. It wasn't even
Ooh,
part of it, wasn't even, you didn't even get credit for it. Like, it was just part of the program. And from there, the program was 2 years. So it was a commitment. And you had to, by the end of it, come up with a business and foster it within those 2 years. And that's what started TekMate, which was the startup that I founded with three other co-founders, Michael, Ben, and Naveed. They're all
mhm.
doing really great things now. Yeah, that's what started TekMate.
Nice. And I think I have something set up where I also bring on Ben too. And I don't know about David yet. I haven't met him yet, but maybe him too. But we'll see. But yeah, that's a good kind of topic to touch on because you have the 2 years worth of commitment. Did you think that what you put into the program and then what you got out with your experience with TechMate do you think it was worth it and why?
Yeah, 100%. If I didn't do that program,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be the way I am now. That program gave me so much confidence. That program gave me a lot of discipline. It also showed me a lot of harsh truths about myself. It was very worth it. If I didn't do it, I would have never met Ben. Ben is like complete opposite of me. Complete opposite of me.
How?
He's just very social butterfly, like likes to go out and do things, very adventurous, very risk taker, but smart about it.
Mhm.
And Naveed was I've known Naveed for so long. Like, I lived with him all throughout college. We were in the
Nice.
same floor. We were very similar. So meeting Ben was never going to happen unless we joined that program. And yeah, so Lavin program was definitely worth it. But it really is what you put into it. Because if I didn't care, if I didn't go to the classes, then what's the point?
I totally agree. That's what I'm trying to do right now too. Yeah, I'm doing like business, finance, and all that stuff. But then, like at a grand scheme of things, I kind of want to get to a point where I own a business too and think the same way that an entrepreneur does. So, do like now I'm doing Zip, and then you helped me with the earlier meeting we had a couple weeks ago. So, thank you for that. And then I wanted to now touch on graduating from SDSU. You didn't immediately go to Coinbase. You went to Endera. So what was that experience like? Because that was like the big full-fledged startup, right, that you worked for. So what was that like?
Yeah, the Endera was started by a Lavin alumni. So Lavin also gave me my first like job outside of college.
Nice.
John Walsh, CEO of Endera, came to speak at one of our classes at 7 in the morning. And I was like, oh, this guy's like really young and
Yes.
interesting. And he has started this whole business. Like, I just like his confidence. And I thought, you know what? Let me just ask, like, what does he need? I'll probably be able to give something. And at the time, Ben was working under him. It was very informal. I talked to him once on the phone. I was like, this is what I
Mhm.
can do. He's like, all right, we'll bring you in. And I
Nice.
started in marketing because that's what he needed at the time.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea of like when people hire you, some might hire you for the sake of you already should have technical skills or whatever skills necessary for the role, while some, which is similar to your experience, hire you just for the you are personable aspect and you can basically learn through reps and learn as you go. Do you think one is better than the other and why?
Oh, man. I've been through both in my
Nice.
2 years in the working force. The path of going, they hired me for me, right? Not my expertise. Like, they saw my potential. They hired me. I love people like that. I love employers like that who take a chance on the underdog. Most of the time, those are startups, right? Startups, like taking a big risk. The pay may not be that high, and there's a lot of volatility. Like, you'll be wearing multiple hats. Hate that word.
Yeah.
But it's because multiple hats means like you're going above and beyond your job description.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. So that's one path. And the great thing about it is you will learn valuable skills very quickly that you can just use as a stepping stone for your resume or stay there and scale up quickly. Bad part is startup, very difficult, a lot of change. Pay may not be that great, mostly in equity. So it's a big bet. And then the second path is people who employ you based on what you can show, right? Based
Mhm.
on your experience. Mostly it's big tech companies. They want to know your experience in this. What projects have you done? What big initiatives have you completed at this company and what was the impact, right? From that route, the pros of that is you get to work with people who have actually done it.
Mhm.
So you're learning from people who have the experience and can tell you from experience. It's a little bit more rigid, pays a little bit better. So it's really up to the individual, like what stage you're at in your career, what type of interaction, what type of people you're looking to learn from. What do you want? You want a steady, well paying job with growth, maybe slow, or do you want to go high road? Let me take a big bet. I believe in this. I believe in myself. Like I really believe in this mission and I'm
Go
gonna
big or go home. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of you touched on the point with like having a lot more risk.
I like personally for me, like you have to really believe in the person
Yeah.
leading that startup. And that like I felt that way even with Coinbase, big company, right?
Yep.
Even with Coinbase, I put that same principle. Like I really have to believe in the CEO. Like he
Yeah.
has to convince me that why his product and his solution is the way. So
That's a kind of a perfect transition. What ended up making you choose and switch to Coinbase? And you touched on this a little bit, but that specific role of people operations.
yeah, I started in marketing at Endera. And
Hmm.
then I saw really good advice. Always look for like gaps in an
Hmm.
organization. And I saw there was no HR, there was no compliance, or no rules. Like people weren't logging in their hours. So I asked John, like, hey, can I build your HR department? That's cool with you. And he's like, yeah, go for it. Because that's what I was doing at TekMate. I ended up taking the HR role at TekMate. So I
Yep.
wanted to also get the experience at Endera and see what I can do for Endera and then replicate it with TekMate. And that's what I loved about John. He was like, I trust you, go ahead. And I built the HR team from the ground up. Once they hired in their general counsel, their corporate lawyer, worked with her a lot to create a whole system. And then at
Hmm.
some point, I realized, ooh, I am tired. It was like one person
Yeah.
was in charge of payroll. Later on, they hired a director, but it was just two people. Employee relations, benefits. Like we were doing everything. And I realized, man, I'm really tired. I kind of want to venture out. I've been at Endera like for 2 years now. I kind of want to venture out. I want to see what's going on in the big tech space because I see all of these people talking about, oh, it's so great. You only do half the work and get paid double. And I was like, half the work, double the pay. Okay, let me take a stab at it. And I applied. This was my first time ever officially applying for a job. Every job that I've gotten in the past has always been, hey, can I do something for you? Yeah, did the official process. And then that's when I got into Coinbase.
There you go. Yeah. And then by that time, you already acquired a lot of the sort of technical soft skills from your experience, both SDSU with the startup and Endera, basically, right?
Yeah, the sad thing that I had to accept
Hmm.
was if I'm going to go into big tech, I may have to do a lateral move or a down level, right? What I mean
Oh.
by I had larger responsibilities at a startup. Going to big tech, like to get a higher chance of getting the job, I had to go for an L2, L3 position when I was doing L5 work at a startup. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, this job is pretty easy.
I have a friend of mine that like that is a CS major graduating. He has a like a full time job secured for software engineering at I forget what it was. I think it was Cisco. But he was describing because of the current like job environment in tech and everybody getting laid off. He explained a similar process where now because it's super competitive, you have these people that were laid off that are basically 2 to 3 years extra experience with internships, like even roles. now they're going down level by 1 or 2 levels to, like,
Yeah.
compete against the people that just graduated or something from college, which is weird.
Yeah, that's what sucks. I hate it. I'm like, wait, they picked a person with 5 plus years experience when the job description said 1 year of experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I did the same thing, though, like, at some point, I realized, like, I'm not getting anything back applying to the role that I think I'm performing at.
Mhm.
So let me take a shot at a level lower.
And then now that we touched on the point, for getting roles at you have both perspectives of both the startup as well as more of a corporate type of structure. What would you have as recommendations or best practices for students in college that are juniors, seniors that want to get into these types of like roles in tech or sustainable tech or whatever it may be,
Mm,
or even business in general? What are some best practices to get roles or internships for those fields?
I will say one myth I wanna get out of the way is you
Nice.
don't
Yeah.
have to go to a nice school. I'll give you that because every director, every manager working at a big tech, I always scroll down and look at the school they went to, and it's always like a community college or like a Cal State. It's never a big, large school. So don't
Mhm.
think going to prestigious school will stop you from getting a role there. Biggest advice, it's so hard. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's so hard to go to college and get a nice, cushy job at Google or Facebook, Meta, or Snapchat or whatever, unless you're like top 0.5% of
Yeah.
your class, you got into their program, and then from their program, you got converted to a full time. Like,
Mhm.
that route is difficult because it's so competitive. So many people go that route. My advice is to go another route, get a lot of experience from small companies and just stack all that experience and then build on projects, find gaps in organizations, find projects that make a huge impact and be a part of that or lead that. And then once you have that, then you can apply externally. You don't have to go through their intern program route. It's going to take a while. It may take a year or 2 years, but if you consistently work during college, you can get ahead pretty quickly. Yeah, and then apply to a role you see fit.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, that's super helpful. And then because you touched on like the idea of identifying gaps, I was wondering, and you probably saw this question already ahead of time, but if you were to start a business from scratch, again, back to your Lavin days, start a startup, what would that look like? Because I know you keep up with a couple other, like you showed me a couple websites back in the earlier call we had for my Zip idea. So I feel like you would have interesting ideas going on in your head that you've thought of that you would start.
I'm always thinking of ideas. Like
Mhm.
every day, I'm like, oh, I should make this. Cool. That would be cool if someone made this.
Yeah.
But I think I've learned, like, in the past year that I would like building something internally, like an entrepreneur. I like
I've heard
seeing
that, yeah.
people build something that, man, like they're crazy about it, and me joining to support that goal. I think I've just learned that that's who I am. I can
Mhm.
start something if I want to, but I would love to see someone grow and help them grow. If I could really start a business, it would most likely be a consulting firm helping people get a job. Because, man, I love it when people tell me, "Oh my God, they asked me the same questions that you told me, and I passed the first round.
You
Oh my
did the
God, I got
future.
an internship. Holy crap! Like my resume looks so much better than the workshop at school." So I like seeing people get the job they want.
Yes, that's super helpful. And then you did mention the idea of the entrepreneur, which is just because I want to be mindful of your time. I read that. Have you found that idea first through the book, The Lean Startup, or from something
Yeah.
else? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I got the reference then. That's interesting. All
Hmm.
right. And then last but not least, if you were to sort of recommend to aspiring professional students, whoever it may be, about things they could read for books or podcasts. You did say YouTube. Would you have any recommendations in
Yeah, this is the one book I like rave about, and it's called Productivity is for Robots by Corey McComb.
For robots. Wow.
Yeah, it is a book, very short book. It's a book telling you don't have to be a robot. And by that, we're living in this age where technology is just advancing, and
Mhm.
we as humans are trying to keep up with it, trying to attain the same productivity rate, like efficiency, execution every day, work hard, play hard. Actually, no, just work hard, work hard. And this book resets you and tells you, are you trying to be a robot? Like, we have machines to do that. What we have over machines is our creativity. And so we
Mhm.
need to take the time to let our brains sit in the idleness and just think, be creative. And yeah, I actually gave that book to my boyfriend's stepmom, who at the time just got promoted to CEO. And I was like,
Wow.
I'm gonna give this to you for Christmas. Hope you like it.
Did she give feedback yet? No.
The next time I saw her, she told me that she had quit her job, started her own and started
Oh,
a book.
hopefully that wasn't primarily your influence there, but
She told me it was because of the book.
oh no.
So if you're looking for a book with impact, like, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, so you did say you had one more advice for students. So what would that be?
Yeah, I feel like I was very vague when I was like, just get all the experience you want and like get into big tech. But how do you get the experience, right? Dude, you're at school. People love students. Like, use the student card. If you're on LinkedIn, you go, hey, I'm X, I'm a student at X. Like, you automatically get a warm response. Because once you're out of school, people are just like, this person just wants a job. Just another person wants a job. So, one, use a student card and network. LinkedIn, whatever, or in person, hey, I'm a student. And then two, join a club, business fraternity, business club, whatever. Pay the fee, just do it. You're not going to get anything by just going to class. Go to the seminars, go to the events that they host where the companies are advertising, whatever they are advertising, and then have a copy of your resume ready. I'm serious. Have a portfolio, have it printed, nicely fonted, dress a little bit nice. And then after the event's done, go to the recruiter or the rep and go, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. Is it okay if I leave a copy of my resume for you? The worst thing they could say is, actually, like, we have a portal. Feel free to send it there, or you can email me at this. Nobody's gonna say no.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's how I got most of, honestly, like 90% of my jobs was by doing that. It's very difficult to just apply online and stand out in a mass of papers, right?
Mhm.
Digital papers. So, yeah, do as much as you can outside of just going to class. Take your time at school very seriously, because those resources, they're not free once you're out of college.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of students don't actually have that like in front of them to be able to notice that. And also the way you describe with the submitting an application and then going through a different way at the same time, like through a person, a recruiter, asynchronously, be like, hey, I submitted this application. It like helps a lot because I've noticed it from some companies I've talked to. It actually moves your resume. It doesn't give you more of a chance, but it moves your resume up the list of who gets reviewed first. And that in itself can cause like background unconscious bias, as well as just simply if they're have limited spaces and doing their first come first serve, and you just have a better chance. But
Yeah, they have
um,
more context, right? When I was recruiting and people went up to me and was like, hi, my name is Michael, Brandon, Samantha. It stayed in my brain when I saw their resume. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the girl, that was the guy who said hi to me. I have more context outside the resume. It actually works. Like, I'm serious. Like, when
yeah.
you apply, introduce yourself to the hiring manager or the recruiter.
Yeah, there you go. That was much more in depth than the first part. But yeah, thank you so much, Jasmine. And then I'll definitely put your LinkedIn stuff in the description